So it's a bit late to do this year, but I might as well do my 2025 Cube release predictions video. I don't really have any insider knowledge of this sort of stuff, even though I do run a Cube store, so most of this is just guesswork based on my understanding of how Cube brands work and what I want to see and what I predict I will see. So let's start off with MoYu. So obviously, I made the video at the end of 2023 demonstrating how I could recite every MoYu 3x3 released in 2023 in under 1 minute.
Every MoYu 3x3 of 2023 in under 1 minute. Super RS3M 20.
Well, now I'd have 3 minutes for YouTube Shorts. But in all seriousness, MoYu didn't release quite as many 3x3s this year. Only, well, 8. I'm probably missing a few. Oh yeah, of course, the Cube chair. But anyway, they released the Weilong V10 in 4 different versions and the Huameng TG in another 4 different versions. Try asking a non-cuber what they think of my thumbnail on that. Can MoYu pull off a Gan? However, they did release a few more interesting new cubes, such as the Aosu V7 4x4 in 4 different versions, and the Aochuang V6 5x5 in 4 different versions. Which, yeah, I mean, it's not terrible thing to have 4 different versions, but it does kind of push it a bit with Cube stores having to stock them all. They did also release a new 2x2, which has been reasonably popular, although most people are probably still sticking to the Gan. And they also released a new timer and tournament display, which I haven't fully tested out yet, but I suspect it's probably going to be quite good. I don't know if it will be better than the GE stuff. And yeah, they released a few weird non-WCA things, such as a 2x2x3 and 1x2x3, which really don't turn very well. I don't know what they were thinking with that, because they could have very easily made them turn a lot better. But what's the future for MoYu? Let's see. Well, we know they're going to release a Super Weilong V2, because Yi Heng Wang has one and he broke the world record with it. So that's going to be good marketing. However, can they do it in such a way that people actually care? That's the question. And I'm not sure how to go about that, because the Weilong V10 has been quite popular, but the original Super Weilong just wasn't. So I think they need to price it about the same as the Weilong V10 and actually push it as the best cube they can make, and not go do some silly gimmicks like the Cube Watch and the ridiculously big box it came in. Other than that, we know they're releasing a magnetic mirror cube because they've talked about it, and it'll probably come out very, very shortly. However, what other stuff are they likely to release in 2025? Well, maybe they could release a 6x6 and 7x7. Because it's been a few years since the Aoshi WRM and the Aofu WRM came out, and they are still, in most people's opinion, the best 6x6 and 7x7 on the market. Especially once you've added a core magnet mod to it. So they could very easily make a better 6x6 and 7x7. And usually when a Cube brand releases a 4x4 and 5x5, especially one like MoYu, you'd expect them to also release a 6x6 and 7x7. So I do expect that to happen really in the first half of 2025 actually. After they've released the Super Weilong, I suspect they'll be working on it. And what else? It's really hard to say. They'll probably do some more artificial intelligence stuff. Maybe we'll actually see a Pyraminx, an AI Pyraminx, but I don't know about that. And I will wait and see what else MoYu release in 2025, because I can't really think of much else I would expect from them at the moment. So what about Gan? Well, in 2025, Gan released a 5x5 for the first time and a new Megaminx, the Gan Megaminx V2. And the Gan Megaminx V2 came in 4 different versions, and the Gan 5x5 came in 2, just frosted new, which is fair enough. But it suggests there's more to come. Now, obviously, the downside is, of course, they released the Gan 14 Pro, which basically meant they had to admit the Gan 14 had problems. Then they released the Gan 15, which, to be fair, is probably the best Gan 3x3, with the exception of maybe the Gan 12. But, I don't know. A lot of people are switching to MoYu cubes at the moment for 3x3. But what will come in 2025? Well, we already know they're clearly working on a 4x4. Matti Hiroto and Arbo recently received another 2 samples of it, in fact, of the new Gan 4x4. So I suspect they are really working hard to make sure it doesn't flop like the first Gan 4x4. Because when they release a 5x5, like 4x4s are essentially 5x5s but with hidden inner pieces. So you'd expect they can release a 4x4 pretty soon, and they haven't yet, so they must be really working hard to make sure it is really good. And of course, they will also obviously release a Gan 16 towards the end of 2025. That's kind of just inevitable, but it's very hard to say if it'll be good. They just have to throw something together because it's just what they do at the end of each year. But we also know from some of their stuff they've been posting that they're likely to release a few other things. Now, there have been rumours over the years of a new Gan Square 1, and it just hasn't actually come out. But they're going to have to do it at some point. And there have also been rumours of a prototype of a Gan 6x6. However, recently they released their 2025 prize money list for world records, national records, even female world records and continental records. And it says that there are prizes for people who break world records using a Gan 6x6 and a Gan 7x7 and a Gan Square 1. But these cubes don't exist yet. And obviously they might just do it just to copy MoYu and put it there. But, like, I suspect they are planning on releasing said cubes. Otherwise, why would they say, oh, you can win prize money if you use our cubes to break world records, if those cubes are never going to exist? So yes, I predict in 2025 we will finally see a Gan 6x6, a Gan 7x7 and a Gan Square 1. And I hope I'm not wrong with that. And obviously a Gan 4x4. And that will probably come out relatively soon, actually, I suspect. And then Gan will just have a wide range of WCA puzzles that just stand the test of time. I think that's their goal with it. That these puzzles they release will just be good for the next 5 years. And just, yeah. What else will they release? No, obviously there'll be some more limited edition stuff. Like all of this 10th anniversary stuff was released recently. I'm sure they'll do more of that at some point. But other than that, serious speed cubes. Yeah, Gan 16, 4x4, 6x6, 7x7, and Square 1. And hopefully they'll all be really good. But probably a bit expensive. So one cube brand that's really difficult to predict their next moves is Vin Cube. And I was very pleased because their first cube was a 4x4. And it was actually good. Because we see so many new cube brands that release mediocre 3x3s that get a bit of attention for a few months and then just sit on my shelf and nobody wants them for another year or two. But Vin Cube released the Vin 4x4, which is essentially an improved version of the MGC, and it's actually very, very good. On par, and yeah, very competitive with the Aosu V7, which is obviously quite a bit more expensive, especially with the dual track and triple track versions. They also briefly released a core magnetic version, which was only slightly more expensive, but it seems that that's now discontinued for some reason. I don't know why. And very recently, they also released a 2x2, which came in a glossy and a UV version, which, for its price, is probably one of the best options. Like, I think most people will stick to the Gan 251M Pro if they can afford it, but, like, For £11, the Vin 2x2 glossy version is pretty good, as long as you have some lubricant to put in it, because it's completely dry out of the box. And they made this very strange decision of, like, not having anything but the cube and a pamphlet in the box. So the box is very small. And I don't know what to think of that, because on the one hand I really like it, because it's cheaper to send, but on the other hand, I know that it doesn't look as nice and people don't buy it because of that. But what's the future for them? Well, maybe they'll do a 5x5? Like, I think that would be a good next move, for them to release a Vin 5x5, which will be essentially an improved version of the MGC, and only slightly more expensive. I hope they don't try and release a mediocre 3x3, because it's just not... It would just ruin their reputation. I genuinely think if they released a 3x3, it would ruin their reputation, because it wouldn't be that good. And then, whenever they want to release anything else, well, yeah, they made a mediocre 3x3, so it's probably not going to be very good. What else could they do? It's very hard to know. I mean, the Vin Cube designer supposedly worked with YJ previously, so maybe he's better at designing stuff than whoever works at YJ now, who designed that MGC Pyraminx, which nobody wants either. Maybe, he could design a good Pyraminx. Who knows? But yeah, I'm glad Vin Cube is now there and making decent cubes, and I hope they make the right cubes that are actually good.